I'd like to welcome everyone to Intuit QuickBooks I Hate QBO webinar series. My name is Robbie Randall. I am a senior product consultant here at Intuit. I do specialize in cloud technologies. If you are on LinkedIn, please let's connect. Small Biz Pro, SMBIZPRO. Or if Twitter's your thing, I'm on Twitter as well. I'd love to connect with you on Twitter. We are seeing more and more of our customers communicate via Twitter and LinkedIn. This year especially, I can't tell you how many conversations I've had on Twitter, which is surprising to me for some reason, and I'm in technology, so there you go. I'm actually going on my 9th year of the tax and accounting industry. I am a QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor. Public speaker. I do host Ahead in the Cloud. I am a pro advisor. That's going to be helpful today. I do enjoy public speaking. Obviously, we're doing webinars. I host a program called Ahead in the Cloud. If you and your firm are interested in having an end-to-end conversation with me and one of your customers about how cloud technology is transforming your relationship, please let me know. I'm going to give you my email address here in a little bit. I'd love to interview you and your client. This is backed by Intuit. This is on all of our social channels. It's free marketing for you, and a lot of good stuff comes out of that. Last thing, I do have a great passion around helping small businesses thrive. Here's a little secret. I've owned a small business. How about that? I have that point of view. So today you're going to receive the Intuit talk. You're going to get best practices from your peers, which I love to share. By the way, I work with some of the top 100 accounting firms in the country, some fascinating things that are happening in our industry. But I'm also going to talk to you like your client. It's super important that we keep that point of view grounded in what we're doing today, because really at the end of the day, this is all about building value for them. And I want to make sure that we can maximize that. So let's keep it moving. A little housekeeping note. You're already using the questions and answer section. Please type your questions in there for me. You'll notice to the right of that are the handouts. Feel free to download those at any time. I will say this, it's only me today and all of you. So I may not get to all of your questions, but do not fear. You're going to receive my email address. Feel free to email me directly. We can work one-on-one. I do not shy away from that. So don't feel like you're not getting your questions answered. Don't leave frustrated. Just let's work together via email if the question doesn't get answered on today's webinar. Let's talk about widgets. This is INXPO is the platform powered by West. Those little blue circles down at the bottom of your screen, those are called widgets. So you may or may not know this. Those windows, like the slides, you can actually move those around. So if you want to make the slides larger, like what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to X out of video because I don't have any video showing, okay? If you want to move that stuff around, feel free to. The thing is this, if you get it someplace that you don't really like and you just want to reset it all, hit that black little circle with the arrow on the bottom left, okay? And that'll reset all of the screens for you. Okay, we already talked about the handouts. We talked about Q&A. Course completion tracker. This is good for 1.5 hours of CPE. The thing about that is that you must be in the webinar a total of 120 minutes in order to receive that. So as we get near the end of today's presentation, if you look at the course completion tracker and notice that it says you're only 75% of the way there, usually that's because I haven't closed out of the webinar. I don't want you to worry. You will receive credit, like most likely. I mean, almost 100% you will. It just needs to, the webinar needs to end is what I'm trying to say. So just hang tight on that. Polling questions are for me. You may be used to answering polling questions as part of your CPE. That's not how today's going to work. Polling questions are for me. I'd like to get to know you better. Pop-up checkpoints are for CPE. What does that mean? That middle box that says webcast message. You have to click confirm to let the system know that you're paying attention. I know nobody on this call is going to do this, but let me give a warning. If you're one of those folks who starts a webinar and then floats around, You know what I mean? Multitasking, answering calls and questions, you know what I'm talking about. And that little window pops up and you miss it, it's going to void your eligibility for CPE. So do please make sure you click those little boxes. There's no need to add a P10 today. There is no CE available for today's session. P10s are for CE. Today is only good for CPE. At the end of the presentation, we'll have a survey. Let us know how we're doing. I already talked about the course completion tracker. Let's go ahead and get started with a poll question. How'd you hear about today's webinar? Email, newsletter, sales rep, direct mail, colleague, other. And if you're just joining us, if you'll put what city and state you're calling in from, just type that in the Q&A section for us. City and state. We'll give you a second to answer the poll question there. I'll leave this open for about a minute. Honestly, it's, again, this is not for your CPE, more or less just interested in, you know, where you're hearing about these webinars. Hey, Jill from Albany, New York, welcome. Sugar Land, Texas, what's up? Deanna, hey. I know that, Arkita. I know where you're from. We talked already. Hey, Cynthia from Atlanta, Georgia. I just moved to Texas from Atlanta about a year ago, by the way. Love ATL. Let's see, Allison from Falls Church, Virginia. Welcome. Again, I'm in Plano, Texas, or what they say, Plano, Texas. Nobody says Plano, Texas? Oh my goodness. Are you trying to move back, Cynthia? That's awesome. Hey, Terry from Meridian, Ohio, and hello, Cynthia from Houston. Okay, cool. I like Houston. Eugene, Oregon. Awesome, Richard. I went to Bend, Oregon. I got to tell you, Bend, Oregon is probably the most beautiful place I've been to in America. Just stunning. Those lakes are absolutely ridiculous. Hello, Jack. Is it Jack from Polo, Missouri? I don't know that one either. I sure don't. You got me. Hey, Tracy from Wazada, Minnesota. All right, let's get back to the presentation for sake of time and all of our sanity. All right, let's get going. Here is the results. I don't know why you would be interested in this, but there it is. Hey, Thomas from Panama City. All right, so what we will cover today. While you're looking over this, I just want to break this into 3 buckets, if we will. The first bucket we're going to cover, which does include some slides, it's more industry, value, what's really going on a higher level, both in our industry and at Intuit. The next bucket is going to be the administrative part of QuickBooks Online Accountant. So I'm going to be in the Accountants edition. We're going to talk through how to set it up, where to get your training, how to train your staff. And then the third bucket is we're going to go into a QuickBooks Online file. Then we'll talk more about the bank feed, opening reports, multiple windows, the trial balance, books to tax, all of that stuff. So think of it in those 3 buckets. You know, higher level overview of industry, admin, setup, managing the business, and then the third part's going to be your actual client management, okay? So let's get started. Before we go anywhere, we all have to agree. I need you all to agree. QuickBooks Online is not QuickBooks Desktop Online. Show of hands. Does everybody agree with that statement? QuickBooks Online is not QuickBooks Desktop Online. Okay, so we've established that. Here's the next thing. I want to take ownership. As an industry at Intuit, we have not done a fantastic job of giving you that communication. I understand. Basically, we gave you QuickBooks Online. It has QuickBooks in the name. You log in and you expect it to be QuickBooks Desktop Online. Not the same. Let's talk about why. As an industry, our work is changing, okay? To summarize everything you're seeing on the slide and just to put it in a couple of sentences, as an industry, we're moving away from a backward-looking, compliance-driven workflow to a real-time, collaborative, consultative business, okay? That statement's big. That statement's really big. What's happening in our technology, when you look at QuickBooks Desktop is built on that backward-looking compliance financials thing, okay? Compliance, financials, that's all getting automated in our industry. It's happening. We can't say it's not anymore. There are companies that have completely automated things like bookkeeping. It's happening, okay? Because of that, QuickBooks Online, the paradigm, the logic, how it looks, how it feels, the way it works is different. It's just different, and it's different on purpose. It's different to support that real-time data capture, that collaborative thing with your clients, and also to start to move us into consultative services. And I know you're not hearing this from me for the first time. This is all over everywhere, from Accounting Today to AICPA, you name it. This information is everywhere. So I know it's not the first time you're hearing it. It might be the first time that that information is getting tied to or related to QuickBooks. Okay, so let's just level set and agree on that. Okay. Now, good news is with cloud, QuickBooks Online Accountant is a platform. QuickBooks Desktop is a software. That statement's big too. The fact that QuickBooks Online is a platform is a wonderful thing. It's going to allow you to manage all of your clients in one place. Yes, that means tax. Yes, that means no tax and no bookkeeping or no accounting, all of your clients. You have apps that are available, big data, automation, artificial intelligence, all that stuff is available in the cloud, and you as a business owner and as an accountant and a bookkeeper, you're going to be able to plug into all of those technologies easily through a platform like QuickBooks Online Accountant, all right? That's a mouthful. I just said a lot. Let's let that kind of settle for a second because I know I too came from desktop. Let me tell you a little bit about me. I actually started on Peachtree. Anybody remember Peachtree? So I too made that transition from desktop kind of methodologies and ideas to online as well. So I know what that feels like. It's weird, it's not comfortable. It can be certainly frustrating at times, but that's what we're here for today. All right, here's the next poll question, and this is very telling for me. Are you QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor certified, either basic or advanced? Online certified. So if you very quickly clicked yes, but you're talking about Desktop Pro Advisor, go ahead and switch your answer to no. I need to know if you're online certified. I'll take basic or advanced. Cynthia, yeah, Peachtree, right? I was using Excel. I was using Peachtree. I've got colleagues that actually use Ledger Books. I mean, I know where we come from, and cloud is just different. It is just a different thing. All right, remember, I'm looking for online Pro Advisor certified, basic, or advanced. Also, I'd like to know, anyone in the call, if you'll put in the Q&A section, are you advanced online certified? If you'll let me know in the Q&A section, I'd love to brag on you. That is a hard test. I'm going to leave this open for about 20 more seconds. Is anyone on the call advanced certified? That's a tough test. Oh, here we go. Finally, Anita Robinson. Congratulations. She is advanced certified in QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online. Anita, that online advanced certification is no joke. Cheryl Shepard, thank you for getting the advanced certification. Congratulations to you both. That is such a hard quiz. Holy goodness. All right, let's go ahead and close this polling in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so there you have it. Here's what it looks like. 63% of us have certification online, which is a great start. Usually that's about 70-30, so hopefully what I'm seeing here is that we're starting to move that needle to where more of us are getting certified for QuickBooks Online. By the way, we all agreed it's not desktop. I would urge you, if you're one of those 63% that aren't certified yet, look, do yourself and your staff a favor. Get certification. Take the training. It's not the same. All right. Real quick, I'm going to touch on apps, and then we'll hop into QuickBooks Online Accountant. Let me preface this by saying, For what I'm about to share with you, for many of you on the call today, you absolutely will not care about apps. You just won't. You don't want to hear what I have to say. You're just not ready for it. That's okay. What I'd ask you to do is just take a pause. Let me speak to those of you on the call who absolutely need to hear what I'm about to share. And then for the rest of you, when you're ready, shoot me a quick email. We can circle back and have this conversation again. Apps. QuickBooks Online Accountant is a platform. It has what we call an open API. What that means is apps are able to plug in to the software and customize the software to tailor it to fit your needs and also your client's needs. So think about that for a minute. Unlike a desktop software where you have to add on a module or another software and manually move data around, apps actually plug in to the software itself. So it's actually they're writing into our coding. What that means is even competitors of ours have the ability to plug into QuickBooks Online Accountant and QuickBooks Online. So this is very powerful stuff. What apps do is that they can completely automate processes, or they can take things that you need and put them on steroids. What do I mean by that? When you think about appointment-based clients and you need some advanced time tracking, let's say you have contractors and they're out in the field and you need to like manage that for them. T-Sheets is an awesome application that plugs right in to QuickBooks Online. By the way, most apps for pros are either completely free or drastically discounted. So for your firm, T-Sheets is completely free. Awesome timekeeping app. You can use it on your mobile device. It has a GPS functionality. It tracks mileage for you and your staff. It just does a lot. It's super powerful. If you need a CRM method, I hear a lot of good stuff about Method. It plugs right into QuickBooks Online and Online Accountant. These apps, again, are usually free for you. There may be a charge for your clients, but I'll get into that in just one second. Now, one thing I hear all the time is, look, QuickBooks Online is not the same as desktop because of functionality. It's just not ready for us as a professional. Not true, okay? That is a misnomer. Don't believe that talk. Case in point, I have folks telling me all the time, well, I've got these manufacturing companies and they're on enterprise and they need assemblies and channel management, and QuickBooks Online uses FIFO methodology and those don't work together, and et cetera. 100% agree. However, you can plug in an app like Dear Inventory or SOS, Sam Oscar Sam Inventory. It'll put our inventory management on steroids. Both Dear and SOS Inventory do channel management. They do Dear methodologies. They do assemblies. Super powerful app that you can plug right into QBO, no problem. There's another one that was referred to me by Andrea Parnas. She's a CPA up in the Northeast. Her and her team love Box Storm. That is B-O-X, like a cardboard box, and then Storm, like a thunderstorm, Box Storm. That's actually a fishbowl product. So if you like fishbowl in the desktop, which is a well-known, inventory management technology, that's their online version. It's called Box Storm. Now, if you're a professional of field services, consultants, photographers, painter, contractor, whatever the case is, Notify is a no-brainer. In fact, if you have a contractor and they're not on Notify currently and you're getting by in QuickBooks Online, that's okay. Add Notify. It's going to change your life. One last thing about apps. People ask me, when and why would I need an app? So the best way to think about apps is this. QuickBooks Desktop Pro, QuickBooks Online Plus are at parity. So if you decide to use an app, right, at that point, all it's going to do is automate processes for you. Things like engagement, you can completely automate. AP, AR, you can completely automate. Expensify will automate expense reports that don't stuck. I mean, there's so many good apps that you can add. Not necessary, but you can add them. It's going to add a lot of value. If you're in an enterprise desktop product, you got to have an app. That's really where the line is. So if you're coming from enterprise to QuickBooks Online, not only will we give you 100% of what you need, we'll give you 180% of what you need, but the way to get there is through the App Store. Okay, so hopefully that kind of sums up when and why and how to use apps. If you have additional questions for me, just email me at the end. I'm happy to help you and your team dig through that. All right, who do you currently use for practice management? Who do you use for practice management, you and your team? Is it sticky notes, notepads, Yahoo, Google, Outlook, email? Has your team invested in a formal practice management solution? Is it 1 and 2 or all of the above? Roxy, me too. Roxy says she loves T-Sheets, and I got to tell you, I do too. I really do. So effective. All right, I'm going to leave this open for about 30 more seconds. I just want to get an idea. Who do you use for practice management? Is it sticky notes, notepads, Outlook, Google, Yahoo, or another calendar service? Have you invested those big bucks in a formal practice management tool? Is it 1 and 2 or all of the above? All right. Yeah, Dina, good call out, Dina. So Dina was taking a look at the QBO conversion checklist. I need to take a look at that. It's probably, it might be a year old now. And it says that 1099 miscellaneous is only available with Plus. We've changed our tiers, as you may know, and you know, the 1099s are now available with Essentials. So great call out. Thank you, Dina, for sharing that with us. Hey, Robert, I'm not sure what I'm reading, to be honest with you. Mr. Graham, if you'll type what you do there for us, that'd be great. All right. All right, let's go ahead and close polling. Okay, everyone, and here are the answers. So close to, what can we say here? 95% of you on the call today, 95% of you use sticky notes, notepads, Outlook, Google, or Yahoo. It might be 92% of you use Yahoo, sticky notes, and such. Only about 6 to 8% of you have invested in a formal practice management tool. So that is really good for me to know as we continue with today's presentation. All right, I'm going to share my screen now. Give me 1 second. We're going to share the screen. All right, give me 1 second. Okay, and what I'll do is a quick test. If you can see the Tax Reform Resource Center, please let me know. If you can see the Tax Reform Resource Center, just type yes in the Q&A section. Just type yes for me. I won't move forward until I know that you can see. Okay, perfect, everyone. Awesome. Perfect, excellent. So let's get going. By the way, if you're not an Intuit tax customer, we have done just a knockout job on tax reform this year. We've got a tax reform entity selection calculator, which is free to use. It can really help you this year if you're interested in doing some, predeterminations for QBI. I'm not going to spend any more time on this. Just want to kind of highlight our resource center. Just go to our main website, proconnect.intuit.com/tax-reform. And we've got plenty of training, a lot of good stuff out there for you. I really feel like we're leading the way on leveraging this new tax reform for advisory services, which you're going to hear me talk a lot about as we get into QuickBooks Online now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up, I'm just going to pull out a browser. Let me minimize this. See what I'm doing here with Chrome? All I did was grab that top browser, and you could drag that little tab wherever you want. So I'm going to open up QBO. I just use I favorited it. Is that a word, favorited? All right, let's go ahead and go to the password manager. I can't tell you which password manager to use, but I will say the IRS started recommending that we all use a password manager, I don't know, 4 years ago. And again, I can't recommend one to you. It wouldn't be appropriate, but what I will say is make sure it has 256-bit AES encryption. 256-bit AES encryption. Okay? You'll have a better experience, plus it's more secure. All right, now, some of you on the call, I know from experience, I've been to your offices. Let's say this. Many of you on the call are likely still logging into your client's books as a user. Likely logging into your client's books as a user. What I need you and your team to do is get into the Accountant's Edition. That's a big deal. If you're frustrated because of, quote, lack of functionality, almost guarantee you're likely in your client's books as a user. Make sure you're in the Accountant's Edition. So I'm going to log into the Accountant's Edition. Here's how you tell. On the top left, it should say Accountant. If it says QuickBooks spelled out, you're not in your books as an accountant. You're in the QuickBooks Online as a user. So I need to make sure you're in the Accountant's Edition. Super easy to get the Accountant's Edition. Just go to our main website, go to Products, click QuickBooks Online Accountant, and then click Sign Up for Free. Okay, super easy. Got to use the Accountant's Edition though. Everything I'm going to show you today is on the Accountant's Edition. We need to make sure that that's the one you're using, all right? Now the benefit of this, and you're already noticing when on the top left under your practice, clients, these are all of my clients in one place. I don't have to file transfer. I don't have to wait on files. I don't have to pay for hosting services. You know, it's all there, right? By the way, you're going to notice in the drop-down filter, I can filter out my bookkeeping clients. What that means is they have a QuickBooks Online subscription. But what you'll also notice, I've got clients without QuickBooks, right? I've got tax-only clients. Remember, QuickBooks Online is a platform. You can manage all of your clients from one place. I'm going to get more into this in just a minute, just trying to give you kind of the lay of the land right now, okay? So on the left, we've got your practice. Under that is your team. That's your staff. Again, we'll talk. I'm going to go deeper. I just want to give you an overview. Pro Advisors, your training. Work is a practice management tool built into QBOA, the Accountant's Edition. Apps are where you find apps for both your staff and your client. And then there's your books. Your books is your firm's books. Your books is your firm's books. I'd be willing to bet probably the majority of us on the call have not converted our firm's books from desktop to online. Because of that, I'm really not going to spend any time inside of your books today. The only thing I'll mention is when I get into the Work tab, work is tied to projects. So when you think about project management, cost billing, things of that nature, these are tied together, which could be very beneficial for your practice. But again, most of you on the call today are not inside of your books. I'm not going to spend any time here today. Now, I'm going to move all the way over to the right, on the top right. Help is where you can get help on the fly. We use natural language processing, NLP, which is a buzzword in technology firms, NLP, natural language processing, to help you find answers that you need quickly. So if you type in bank feed, right? Super easy, COA, right? Conversion, right? Support. It's all there for you, promise. Okay, you can self-serve. It's a really easy way to get this stuff done. Just want to make sure you know it's on the top right. Now moving left to right, I'm going to skip the little person icon. I'll come back to that. I'm going to click on the gear. The gear is where you set up QuickBooks Online. So admins on the call, this is for you. What I need you to do is to come into company settings at least once a month. I know it seems like a lot. Here's why. In the online world, we release features and updates, respectively, every 2 weeks. That's vastly different from desktop. In the desktop world, we only really do feature updates once a year. That's called a license. Then you may get incremental updates, but that's really for security, and if you're in a tax product, that's for forms. It's not really features, okay? In the online space, we drop brand new features, respectively, every 2 weeks. Okay, so what I need you to do is come in here and make sure those are turned on, because whenever we release something new, we give it to you turned off. How about that? The idea is we do not want to disrupt your workflow. So I need you admins, I need you to come in here at least once a month and make sure you have everything turned on. Can't tell you how many offices I've been to where they didn't have classes turned on, they didn't have locations turned on. These are big, big deals. Also, just because we're talking, you don't have to use locations as locations. Okay, think about that for a minute. Classes only shows up on the P&L. Locations show up on the P&L and the balance sheet. Okay, I might have that backwards, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Here's the thing: if you need items to show up on both, you can create location lists, but not name it locations. I'm going to get more into that in just a second, but really for those of you doing real estate, those of you who are doing trusts and law firms, that's for you, because there's ways to set up your chart of accounts. There's a way to use locations in classes that'll benefit your firm too, okay? Notifications, this is for work. Work is our practice manager. I'll get to the practice management piece in a minute, but what I want you and your team to know is that you can turn on and off notifications for due dates, assignments, statuses, etc. So you manage the communication. Under sales, I get questions all the time that sound like, hey, can I add custom fields on my invoice? Under expenses, can I add custom fields on my POs? The answer is yes. You just need to come in here and customize these. Now you may know we've also released a new tier called Advanced. With QuickBooks Online Advanced, you're going to have custom fields everywhere. So it's coming. You'll be able to add, you know, it's a big number, like 15 custom fields, 45 custom fields. It's on the way if you haven't seen it already, okay? All righty, let's keep moving. Expenses, again, purchase orders. The main thing to know, you just have to turn that stuff on. It might be turned off in your firm. Payments, we do integrate with QuickBooks Payments. If you want to automate your AR, you can do that. You could do it through payments. You can use an app like bill.com to automate a lot of that for you. You know, frankly, as much and as fast as you can automate, do it. You're going to win. That's just how it is right now in this emerging market we call the cloud. All right. How frustrating is it to have clients come in after you and make changes after you close the books? My recommendation is to add a password. Okay, now your password might be 5,000, right? I've got a customer, her password is 5,000. Her password's 5,000 because when her clients call and ask for the password, and then they come back with, what is that 5,000 about? She says with a grin, that's what I'm about to charge you for what you're about to mess up. How about that? I've got another customer, her password's no, 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 no. Think about that for a minute. So, you know, you could have a little fun with these passwords, but just know you can lock your clients out of making changes after the period is closed. Now, if you're locking out periods and your clients are still making changes, you know, that's something else we need to talk about. I'll do that here in just a second. Okay? All right. Multi-currency, foreign currency, we have it. You just have to turn it on. Okay, just be aware of that. All right, back to the gear. I'm going to come down and click on QuickBooks Labs. Why am I doing this? This is our beta testing. If you want to be a part of our beta testing, come into QuickBooks Labs. Right off the bat, QuickBooks invoicing for Gmail. Not so much for you and your team, but for your clients. If you see a Gmail address, we now have integration with Gmail. They can create bills and invoices directly from an email. They don't have to leave the Gmail email and go into QBO to get that work done. That's a big time saver for those clients. Please share that information with them. You will look like a rock star. Amazon integration, of course. Let's go down to the bottom. I happen to like routines for QuickBooks. Getting a lot of good feedback on this. You must turn it on. And then let me show you what that looks like. Go back to the gear. Click on Manage Routines. Look at this. This is our first toe dip in the water of automating routines that happen often. Example, if you want to remind yourself or customers about past due invoices, you can turn that on. Notify your customers when you receive their payment. Turn that on. These are manual things that maybe they take you 5 minutes per customer. Multiply that by 300 per month. You could see where automation is really starting to help you and your team. Remind yourself about upcoming bills. That's a biggie, right? All this is available under the labs. You just have to turn it on. Okay. The next thing under the gear is import data. Whew, I get a lot of questions about this one too. Look, I don't like your chart of accounts. I want to use my own. Please use your own. That's the conversation. All you have to do is import your chart of accounts. We certainly do that via Excel. You can import bank transactions. Probably know already if you convert from desktop to online, we only bring in around 90 days of transactions. I've got clients that bring in 2 and 3 years. The way they do that is through an Excel file and the bank data import. Very, very easy to use. There's a mapping that is involved, but that'll help you. Okay? Budgeting is a big one. We could talk all day long about advisory services. What does that mean? I can tell you, if you will just help get your clients on a budget, if you're not doing that already, that is where you want to start. That is advisory services. Start with budgeting. You might only be doing that for about 20% of your clients, the top 20%, you know the ones. And unfortunately, the rest of your clients fall into that other category because of time, because of capacity and all the other things that we know that happens behind the scenes. I would urge you, as we start to automate these processes and you get capacity freed up, start there. Put a stake in the ground, help your clients get on a budget. 1 in 2 businesses fail within the first 5 years. That's not a joke. It's not because of bad ideas. It's not because those people don't work hard. It's because they paid dearly for their financial education. We can help them tremendously just by starting with the budget. So there's my soapbox. Let's go ahead and keep it moving. All right. I get questions about reoccurring transactions. I'm just going to click New. And then I know this is small, but I want you to feel comfortable. Look, we can create reoccurring transactions. Not a problem. What does that mean? If your client has a vendor that comes in once a week and drops a bill on their desk, just create that bill. And then down at the bottom, click Reoccurring. Here's the bill. And then down at the bottom, Reoccurring. Super easy. Here's your interval. Let's say every week on Friday, they come in and drop that bill. You can automate that process for your clients. Bills, invoices, receipts, the whole nine, okay? Yeah, yes, it's like desktop, but I want you to know you're not losing any functionality. Now, the only other item I want to mention is the sample company, because I do from time to time, I get this question, hey, can I create a sample company for me and my team to practice on? The answer is yes, but you'll need to pay the QuickBooks Online subscription. Instead of doing that, what I'd rather have you do is use the sample company that we created. What this does is it opens up what we call a sandbox. Basically, you're getting QBO in a safe environment. Once you close out of it, it resets all of your work. So you can go in and mess around with bills and invoices and all that good stuff. Once you close out of it, it just resets itself. No harm, no foul. Okay? All right, let's keep it moving. That's the gear. Now I'm going to come over on the right, click on clients again. This is my client list. Let's talk about how to add a client the right way. Okay, what does that mean? The difference between successful firms and the firms that struggle. And I got to tell you, I talk with hundreds of firms weekly, especially over the summer months. I go to conferences, you know, I have phone calls, in office meetings. It's a lot. I get a lot of information. The difference between the folks who are just killing it in the cloud and then the other folks who struggle and are frustrated and mad, a lot of it has to do with process, standardization, and controls, okay? How you add a new client, your onboarding is a biggie. Your engagement is a biggie. But let's talk about that onboarding for a second. Typically or historically, when we have a client say, hey, look, I want to use QuickBooks Online, we treat it like desktop. What does that mean? We say, great, go to the web, buy what you think you need, add me as your accountant. We go from there, okay? That is reactive. I want you to stop that. I want you to control and manage onboarding, okay? So part of that is creating the client. How you do that's on the top right. Click Add a Client. There you go. You put in their information. You set up the QuickBooks Online file, okay? If you're not sure which version of QuickBooks Online to put them in, here's a matrix. We now have Advanced, which is our first steps towards Enterprise in the cloud, okay? Lots of cool features being included in Advanced. We can talk about that at another time. But just know if you have more than 5 users in a business, they will need to go in Advanced. Advanced will now handle up to 25 users, okay? Very cool. Anyway, I'm on the Add a Client list. I clicked on Compare to get that information. Step 3 is how are they billed? No subscription. That would be like if I came into your office and I said, hey, I'm thinking of starting a business in Q3. I'm not really ready right now, but I'd really like to start talking to you about it. Will you work with me? Absolutely. Add me as a client. You can use the CRM tool. I don't have to pay for a subscription. When you're ready, just upgrade me into the appropriate subscription. Now, direct billing means the client is billed. They are billed direct. They still get a deeper discount by going through you than going to the web, but they are billed every month. Wholesale, the firm is billed. Okay, so think of this as like part of your bundled pricing or your tiered pricing or your custom pricing. Thank you, Gabby, if you're out there in the world. Thank you for sharing that with me. That's really bundled into that tiered pricing model. You would never want to go to your client and say, hey, client, I can get you QuickBooks Online for 25 bucks a month. Please don't do that. Do yourself a favor. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Wholesale pricing is meant to be bundled into your services. Think of it as overhead at that point, okay? Don't go to your client and tell them you can get 25, QBO for 25 or 30 bucks a month. Let me give you an example. You're migrating to the cloud whether you know it or not, right? You've got clients on QuickBooks Online. I bet you have more clients this year than you did last year. I'm certain you have more clients this year than you did 3 years ago on QuickBooks Online, right? So you're in the process of migrating to the cloud. 3 years from now, let's say you have 300 clients on wholesale billing and you told them you can get them wholesale billing for 30 bucks a month. Let's say we raise the price $1, just $1. Guess how many phone calls you have to make? That's right, 300. So save yourself the headache. Use wholesale discounting as it's designed. All right, team access is exactly that. You can set up your team members who work on the account at this time. You can also set up defaults. So if there are certain people in your office who you want to work on the file every time, set them up as a default or an admin. That is how you add a client the right way. Remember a few minutes ago when I said, hey, if you have clients making changes after you lock down the period, that's another issue. Typically what I find is those clients went to the web to buy and then added you as an accountant. What happens in that process is that the client retains the master admin right. Not always great in that scenario. There are times where you and the firm need the master admin rights. Case in point, when you set a password, they're not able to go in and unlock it. Okay, so that you may be experiencing that. I know it's frustrating, but it's little differences in how you onboard are super important. Now let's talk about the engagement piece when you're onboarding. I provided you a client checklist in the handout. I provided you a ultimate onboarding guide in the handout. Onboarding and engagement is one of the biggest misses that I see in firms that are struggling. So let's think of it this way. This is something we do really well in the tax world. Tax engagement, we've got it down. We've got our email template, we've got our letters, we've got our processes. We know that you do it the same way I do it in the office. We've got all that locked down. For whatever reason, when it came to QuickBooks Online, we did not carry that over to the cloud. What I'd like you to do, if you don't pick up anything else today, work on that. Okay, get with your team. Write out those emails. Write out those client letters. Standardize that process between people within your firm. Make sure it is the same level of value and delight for all of your clients. And kind of what does that look like? When they reach out to you on your website, how are they answered? What is that first bit of branding and experience like? You know, where do you go from there? Who's it handed off to? Who handles the conversion in the staff? Okay, what is the expectation given to the client? Do you agree on who's doing what work? We do that in the tax world. Are you doing that online? Are you saying, hey client, all I need you to do are bills and checks. We'll handle everything else. Let's sign this piece of paper and agree on that. Super important we start doing that in the cloud. Again, successful firms are doing that already and really enjoying their experience. I see other firms that are super frustrated, and there's little things that we can tweak that'll make it a better experience. All right, how to add a client. Talk about the team over on the far left. All right, this is your staff, right? We need everyone in the same accountant's edition. Then you add all of your staff, then you add all of your clients, and then you can set up administrative rights. Now this is a very basic set of administrative rights. Through Advanced, we have additional rights that you could turn on and off for your client or for your staff. And you should also expect to see this morph and get more functionality peppered in there in a very short amount of time, okay? Team's working on that as we speak. Another best practice, you don't want to add all of your clients to all of your staff. Silo the work. So, you know, employee number 1, only assign or check off their book of business. Employee number 2, only assign or check off their book of business. Maybe your admin has everybody, maybe your managing partner has everyone, but you do want to silo the work. Not only is it a best practice for resources in QBO, it's also a best practice for security. So it's really important that we kind of manage that work as well, okay? That's the user profile, that is your team. Now, if you have more than one accountant's edition in your office, and the best way to find out is on your keyboard, press Control-Alt?. Control-Alt?. It's going to give you your company ID. Go to each one of your workstations. Look, make sure everyone has the same company ID. Or as you may have heard me say, my mom from Mississippi, make sure everyone is singing off the same song sheet, okay? If they're not, just call ProAdvisor support and make sure that we consolidate your accountant's edition. You want to make sure everyone's working under the same one. Okay, ProAdvisor is your training. You may have noticed we have a new benefits tab, and benefits are created by points. So the more clients you get on QBO, the higher points you get. The more training and certification that you receive, the higher points you get. Lots of cool stuff. Now, what do these points do? These points give you benefits, right? So here's your desktop. Download for ProAdvisors. We have marketing tools, website builders. The Intuit Marketing Hub is really slick. Remember I mentioned those client letters? We have those client letter templates already available for you. We've got QBO sell sheets that you can share with your clients. All that's available for you. All I did was I went to the benefits and looked under Marketing Hub. Product support? Yes, you get a higher level of priority support as you move through the tiers. So another good reason to make sure you and your team are all working under one accountant's edition is it's going to bump you into the higher tiers, which means you're going to get a higher priority of support, a higher tier of support. simply by consolidating all of your clients under one accountant's edition. How about that? Training is available, of course. I'm going to talk about that next. And then there's additional services. T-sheets, someone mentioned earlier. You can subscribe for free as a pro advisor. All this is available for you. Now, I'm big on education. So let's click on training. Everyone, let's take a deep breath. Please raise your right hand. I solemnly promise to make sure everyone in my staff that uses QuickBooks Online, at minimum, has the QuickBooks Online Basic Pro Advisor certification. There it is, Basic Online certification. Please, everyone agree. Anyone who touches QBO should have the Basic Online certification. This is self-study. It is about 6.5 hours total. You can break it down into half-hour or 2-hour chunks. Typically what managing partners do is they say, hey, look, staff, you have 3 weeks to get it done. Hand me your certificate at the end of 3 weeks. I've seen, offices say, hey, look, this is your responsibility as an employee. Go out and get it. Do it on the weekend, whatever the case is. Just make sure everyone has the basic certification. And then what I would like to see is that you have a champion in your office who also has the advanced certification. So at minimum, everyone have basic. What I'd like to see is also someone or someone's also have advanced. That's the deal. We all agreed QuickBooks Online is different than QuickBooks Desktop. Please get the certification. You're going to have a much better experience. Now, we're trying to build this out as your one-stop shop for your education. So we do have some specialty courses in here, T-sheet, QuickBooks Desktop. I would imagine you'll see tax courses in here soon. Lots of cool stuff. All right. Let's go ahead and click on Work. Work is your practice management utility. Practice management utility. Remember, 93% of you on the call use sticky notes, notepads, etc. You can now have a dashboard view of what's going on in your firm. By the way, these are called tiles. These tiles let me know what's going on for tasks and projects. You may have noticed already these green tiles. These green tiles are pulling in from your client's QuickBooks Online account to let you know of important things that are happening, okay? Now, I know a lot of CPAs, they don't like the tile view. If you like a linear view up on the top right, click the 3 lines. Now you have a linear view. Or if you prefer a calendar view, click that little calendar on the top right, and there you go. Now you have a calendar view. I happen to love this calendar view, by the way, okay? Now you can filter client-only tasks and projects. You can filter out the firm's tasks and projects. You can filter out specific client tasks or projects. You can filter out specific employees' tasks or clients' projects. Okay, so when I come in, I just want to look at me. Frankly, I don't need to see across the company, but an office manager may want to come in and look at everyone. There's also additional filters, lots of cool things happening on this screen. Okay, to create a new project, click the green button on the top right, and let's say I have a quarterly meeting, and all I need to do is attach that to my client, give it a due date, let's say the 22nd, assign it to someone in the firm to manage, and then add notes about the meeting. Now what I could do is build out these quarterly meetings through tasks, okay? But what I can also do is just say, hey, look, repeat. This is every quarter, and then you'll see QuickBooks Online will build out those quarterly meetings for me. Okay, easy peasy. Now, we have also created templates. So if you want to manage templates, remember we talked about onboarding and engagement? Maybe you create in the client onboarding template project, and it's going to create all those dates for you. You see? Super handy. You can customize what we've built out already. You can duplicate them. You'll notice I've got an 1120S template up here. You can do this for tax only. You can do it for a host of things, okay? One other thing I want to mention about work is its own URL. What does that mean? If I click the star on Chrome, I can bookmark work. So for your tax employees, they don't need to get into the book. It makes no sense. But what I can do is make sure that they create a work bookmark, and then all they have to do is click work. And when they open up QBOA, it goes directly to work. They can stay out of everything else and still use the practice management utility as it was designed. Very cool. Now also from within the screen, I can communicate with my client. So up on the top right, I'm going to click Create Client Request. Let's say it's tax season and you need some documents from me. Let's attach this to my file. And then what you're going to do is write me an email. Hi, Mr. Randall. We have reviewed your account and we need your W-2. Thank you, R. Now, if you were going to send me an invoice or you needed payment or you wanted to send me information, you could add a document. We are also a document management system. Bet you didn't know that. So you can attach a document to this email. It will attach it to my file. Now, when I click Publish, I get one last opportunity to clean up the email. You see the outputs are over on the right. I'm doing the inputs over on the left. I could add a formal signature line. I'll go ahead and give you my email address. robertrandall@intuit.com. And there you go. You see the output over on the right. Again, I get this. I can get it on my mobile phone. It comes through on my email. I get questions a lot like, hey, where does this email come from? It can either come from the firm, or you can use the drop-down and do it from the Pro. You choose. Now, the only thing you need to know is behind the scenes, this does go through our servers because it does attach that information to the client file. So the correspondence, the documents, everything is housed in one place. The idea is we don't want anything to fall through the cracks. Now let's talk about something a little more exciting. You see this big green button here? Remember, I'm a former business owner. If you send me a list or send me a request for information, I'm out in the field. Historically, what I would have done is said, hey, look, accountant, I'll get to that when I can. I'm trying to run a business here. I'll get it when I get back to the office. What you know what that means. Typically what would happen is I don't, right? You give me a list of 10 things I need to do or a list of 5 things I need to do. I might work on that this week. I might send you 1, send you another 2 next week, send you another 3 the week after, or I might not look at it at all until after the deadline. Who knows? This real-time collaboration, that big green button, if I get this correspondence on my mobile device and I hit that big green button, if you're asking me for a W-2, I could take a picture of my W-2 and be done with it. Upload it to my account. You're going to get notification, and we're both happy, right? It really is just that easy, and all of it is stored on the account. Okay, now for those of you who have invested in a formal practice manager, what this looks like is you still use that, but your employees start to use this for personal use. So they'll start to put their own tasks in here and kind of keep up with their own work. So it's okay to layer those. I just wanted to give you kind of a different point of view. All right, now apps. Here's the last item before we go into QBO, apps. You'll notice at the top, I'm an admin, so I can search for apps. I can click on client apps, and I can also click on firm apps. Remember, you can have apps for you, apps for your clients, apps for both. Totally up to how you want to set up the business. Now, if you're not sure which version of apps or which app to use, you can browse by category, point of sale, CRM, manufacturing, or like we had talked about earlier, I said SOS inventory is pretty great. Just type in SOS inventory for your manufacturers. And there you go, T-sheets. There it is. Now what you're going to notice, there's a star rating. One thing I will call out about T-sheets, it is a 5 out of 5 stars. And that's from your peers, pros. 3,755 pros have agreed that T-sheets is the best. So you know it's hard to get 10 of us to agree on anything, but a 5 out of 5 rating is pretty big. There's some reporting apps as well. I didn't mention this earlier, but if you're doing GAAP compliant financials, or if you want to standardize your reporting from desktop to online, Excel, and even with competitors, QVinci is a fantastic solution for you and your team. In fact, they have a dashboard. You don't even have to go into QBO. It pulls information out of QBO. You can use their dashboard for reporting. It'll push information back to QBO. And again, if you just don't want to get into QBO, you can use QVinci for the reporting piece and be done with it. Okay? Again, very good for your tax folks. If you have tax folks who don't do the bookkeeping stuff or the accounting work, they can get into QVinci, pull their tax reports, get what they need, and then get out. They do not have to get into QuickBooks Online. This is really fantastic. Another reporting app, just to mention very quickly, is Fathom. As I mentioned earlier, Fathom is now included with QuickBooks Online Advanced. It tends to be a little more modern. You see that the reports, the outputs are much more modern in appearance. So if that's your thing, absolutely Fathom is a great fit as well. Put our reporting on steroids, right? There's no need to fret over reporting. Fathom and QVinci both do a fantastic job. By the way, if you need consolidated reports, let's say you have a company that has multiple companies, QVinci and Fathom can literally produce those reports in 3 seconds. 3 seconds. I had a firm tell me they spent the entire month of July putting together consolidated financials for their largest customer, the entire month of July. In QVinci or Fathom, you could do that work in 3 seconds. Imagine the capacity that's created by automating that work. All right, I'm about to go into a QuickBooks Online file, but before I do, let's take a pause. That was a lot of information. Some of it useful, some of it may have been repetitious, but remember, we're all at different places on this webinar. Wanted to get everybody level set, okay? So let's take a pause. Everybody take a deep breath together. Inhale. Everybody exhale. Shake out your arms a little bit. Stand up if you need to. That was a lot. All right, let me go ahead and take a look at some questions. Okay. There's a question about apps. Yes, so Roxy had a question about how apps currently function. The answer is yes. We are, you should expect to see that very soon. Don't like the invoicing Anita. So I'll let you behind the curtain, team. There are complaints and there are objections, right? So give me an objection. Tell me exactly what you're thinking about invoicing, and let me dig in a little bit and see if we have a solve for you. If you don't like the color of the program, can't do much about that. Generalities, can't do much about it. Let's go a little deeper. Let's see. Heidi, which changes? I've been moving fast, so if you'll help me out with which changes. Want to make sure I understand your question there. Sorry if that sounds a little vague. There you go. So for receipts, Natalie, there's a fantastic program called Expensify. Expensify will make expense reports that don't suck, but you can also take pictures of receipts. It'll grab all that data off the receipt and handle all that stuff for you. Expensify is awesome. There's another app called Receipt Bank that will solve for what you're looking for. Roxy, yes, the assigning does transfer over to T-Sheets. This is going to sound silly, but what is let me make sure I understand that acronym. So sorry. Okay, how do you get the calendar or tile view, Cynthia? Let's go back to work. Over on the top right, there's very little icons. The boxes are the tiles. One over is the linear view. And then one more over on the top right is the calendar view. There you go. And we'll just say we answered live on that one. Thank you for the question. We're just taking a second here as we kind of level set before we go into QBO. Natalie, I need more context, y'all. I move pretty quick. I move really fast. Um, no. Melanie is asking, can we remove the QuickBooks branding in the email? The answer is no. That's embedded. And I'm guessing that would be more of a white label question. At this point, it isn't. The QB stuff is embedded. All right. Ooh, excellent. Okay, let me take a look. Another question here before we move on. Sure, Robert. Robert's saying, can you address the gig economy and those who are using Intuit Self-Employed and other apps such as Stripe integration? Absolutely. How would you like me to address it? I'd love to talk more about that. Gig economy, by the way, they're saying 60% of our workforce will be gig economy, which basically means like on demand. Can you imagine? That's wild. All right. So while I'm getting more context on a couple of those questions, let's go ahead and move forward. Okay, so had a little pause. I tend to talk fast. Remember, this is an hour and a half today, which is super exciting because I get to go a little deeper and take some pauses, which I like, and I know that you probably appreciate too. Now, when we go into the QuickBooks Online file, remember, nothing to transfer, none of that headache, all gone. All I need to do is go to the drop-down menu at the top. Drop-down menu at the top, okay? Now, I'm going to select Katie's company. We always land on the client dashboard. Client dashboard is the health of the company. So this is kind of a snapshot of what's going on in the company. Okay? What gets overlooked from time to time on this particular dashboard is that these are hyperlinks. So if you want to jump into overdue invoices, just click on the link. It'll take you there. Same thing. Expenses. If you want to jump into expenses, just click on it, and it'll take you right there. Now you'll notice at the top under tasks, we want to bubble up information that's important. Again, we don't want stuff to fall through the cracks. So I've seen information like payees without names. I've seen alerts that say, hey, credit card has expired. Like there's things we need you to know to make sure that stuff doesn't fall through the cracks. Now, of course, for your clients, you can change their logos, lots of cool stuff you could do during setup. But let's just go over kind of what you're looking at right now. The next tab I'd like to share with you over on the far left is called Overview. This is brand new. So where the overview came from, we do a lot of what's called follow me homes or follow me to the office. Basically what we do is we go to your office with a recorder and a notepad. We just sit down. We don't offer any recommendations. We don't solve problems. We just sit and watch. And what we found out is whenever you get a new client, it takes you about 4 hours to figure out what's missing, what do you need, how are you going to bill, you know, etc. So what we did was we created this overview page. This is only available in the Accountant's Edition. And from here, you can see in one clean view, I've got unaccepted bank transactions. I've got unreconciled accounts. I've got common issues like uncategorized assets, uncategorized expenses. All you would need to do is click on that header. It'll take you to those items. You could clean those up very quickly now. And then down at the bottom, transaction volume in the last 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. All that's available, okay, on one clean snapshot. What we found, and our latest data is saying that we've taken that 4-hour process down to about 4 minutes. So I'm super glad to share this with you. It should give you some insights that will help you keep moving and keep you pushing forward in the program, okay? Now, a little more housekeeping before we move into specific areas. On the top right, the plus. This is typically, if our clients did any work, this is the work that they would do. They would come in and hit the plus, handle bills, handle checks, and get on with their life. Now, using Chrome, what I'd like you to do is this. Ignore all of my bookmarks for a moment, okay? Let's open a bill. Okay, now bills, checks, invoices, etc., reports, chart of accounts, you can save these as favorites. So I'm going to save the bill as a favorite on my bookmark bar. Let me move an XPO over just for a little color difference there. I'm going to close the bill, and then I'm going to come in and click on check. Now I'm going to save check on my bookmark bar. Now, if you look up at the very top on my bookmark bar, I've got bills and checks. What are we doing? We are creating a workflow for our client. So remember the engagement piece. Okay, we talk to the client, we agree on the work, we do the conversion, we set up the file, we get our billing in order. I would recommend extending training to the client. We've got plenty of training resources for them. If they're doing bills and checks, send them the training on the bills and the checks, right? Lastly, let's get together and meet before we hand over the books. Look, you're responsible for bills. Show me how you do a bill. All right, perfect. Now let's set up your bookmarks. You see here, now you have bills and checks. Mr. or Mrs. Customer, all I need you to do is open up QBO, click on your bookmark, work left to right, and then get out of the program. There it is. You can create workflows using shortcuts, okay? Bills, checks, you're out. You do not have to be an expert in QBO. That's me. All I need you to do is handle the 2 items that we agreed on, okay? Now for your team, remember, we can add things like chart of accounts, report. We can create bookmarks for us too. So there's speed that we can achieve by adding bookmarks. More or less, I would use this for your client and create a workflow that makes sense and simplify the process for them as well, okay? Remember, that's all under the plus. Now, since we're in the Accountants Edition, we get all of their tools plus ours. All of our tools are over on the top left. It's called the Accountants Toolbox. Ooh, batch reclassify transactions, batch write-off invoices. I bet you've been looking for this stuff. So let's start to look at a couple of these. Reclassify transactions. This should start to feel very familiar to the desktop. All I have to do, find some transactions, taxes, let's say rent, and then check off these boxes on the spreadsheet. And then down at the bottom right, I could change the account in one fell swoop, or I could change the classes and the accounts in one fell swoop. Batch reclassification, all that's available under the toolbox. Batch write-off of invoices. Same scenario, check them off. Come down to the bottom right, click Preview and Write Off. Review your bad invoices and click Write Off. Batch write-off of invoices. Very, very easy to do, all found under the toolbox. Now I could search for voided and deleted transactions, or I could jump into journal entries. Journal entries is one of those areas that I would recommend creating a bookmark. You know you do journal entries frequently. Go ahead and create the bookmark. Make it easy on yourself. Okay, back to the toolbox. Reconciliations available. Closing the books is available. Very similar to desktop. I'm not really going to dig into it. It almost looks identical. Custom reports is available. Management reports. I'll get into that in just a second. Let's talk about report tools. Now, very quickly, you'll notice on the left-hand side I have reports. You may all be familiar with reports. However, I do from time to time get those calls. Look, I'm using your reports, but every time I close a report, it defaults to a funny period. Make it stop, all right? Here's how you do that. Go to your toolbox, hit Report Tools, click on it, and then you set up your defaults, okay? And that's how you do that. It's all found under the toolbox, okay? Now, I would imagine if you haven't taken ProAdvisor training, if you're one of the 65% of us on the call today who aren't certified, you probably don't know about the toolbox. So if this is the first time you're seeing it, this is another thing I am super pleased to be showing to you. I know you've been frustrated, but here it is. We've got all that stuff for you. It's just been hiding in that little icon on the top left, okay? All right, let's keep it moving. Since I'm on reporting, let's talk about reports. I'm going to go down to the bottom left, click on Report. And then you'll notice this year we've added favorites. So as you go down through the report, if there's a report that you use often, just click the star and it'll bubble it up to the top. Now for those of you who do payroll, you're going to be happy to learn. We have recently added the payroll summary by employee. I know you've been wanting that, so it's been in the program now for about 4 months. And if you do payroll, please listen to what I'm about to share with you. If you're coming from QuickBooks Desktop, the QuickBooks Desktop Details Report and the QuickBooks Desktop Summary Report switch names online. Yeah, how crazy is that? So if you are in Desktop and you go online looking for the summary, use the details. If you're on the desktop and you're looking for the details report and go online, look for the summary. Here's the reason why. We purchased a company at the Paychecks to do QuickBooks Online payroll. They were already online doing payroll. In the online space, we kept their naming convention. That's why the report names on those two reports are different from the desktop to online. So you've probably been looking for those. Just be aware, details and summary are switched from desktop to online. And then, of course, we've added summary by employee for you as well. Okay, let's talk about a best practice when customizing reports. If I were to say, hey, look, I need you to customize a balance sheet, or team, I'd like you to customize a profit and loss, what you would likely do is just click and open the canned P&L. Not the best idea. You'll notice when you go to customize, the customization tools are pretty shallow. What I'd like you to do is, if you're going to customize reports, use the detail. So instead of P&L, go to the P&L detail report. And then what you're going to notice is when you go to customize, the customization tools are much richer. You can actually move around columns, you know, turn stuff off and on, filters. It's just a deeper, richer set of customization tools. Okay? Now, as much as you want to customize reports, that's okay, but just know it's per customer. Now, that's a problem. Okay? I know it's a problem when you're trying to standardize reporting across all of your clients. My solve for you at this time is to use an app like DaVinci or Fathom. Not only will they standardize reporting across all of your QBO clients, but it'll also standardize reporting for your desktop clients. It pulls information from Excel. It also pulls information from competitors. The reason I particularly like that is because your client will receive a standard report as they migrate from desktop to the cloud. In other words, the end product, for lack of a better word, is going to be the same as they move from desktop to cloud. That's very reassuring as you go through change management. Even though the data is coming from different sources to the client, they have no clue. Okay, so that's a value add. Plus, it's going to save you a ton of time if you're looking for that standardization. Now, when you standardize a report or when you customize a report and you go to save it, you can name it. You can add it to a report group. Go ahead and add this to a report group and then decide, do I want to share it with the firm or the firm and the client? Okay. Now, when you save those reports, let's say P&L 2.0, and you save it, I save that to a group. Groups are pretty handy. I know a lot of you have audit teams that want to review reports before they go out. Save all of your reports to the audit bucket. Or let's say for Katie's company, Katie, I want you to look at cash and inventory every Monday. You're in a spot. I need you to do this every Monday. You and I are going to work together and turn this thing around. Okay, consultation. Let's work together and make this happen for you. What I need to do is send Katie a report every Monday. Now, historically, to build reports and send those out every Monday, I don't have the bandwidth to do that, or I just do it for a select few of clients. With report automation, what I can do is come over here on the right, click Edit, and then turn on the schedule. And then look, every week on Monday morning, I send Katie these batch of reports. Put yourself as a carbon copy, write a nice, warm, welcoming email, put in your signature line, make it great. If it's going to an internal team, maybe you want to attach the Excel file first and then hit save. Here's what happens. Every Monday morning, Katie gets a batch of custom, beautiful reports in a timely manner. The firm looks like a rock star. Katie does not know we're not up all night Sunday night doing that work. More importantly, she's getting the information that she needs in real time to be successful, okay? That is consultative. It's also automated, so it's not requiring that my team put in a bunch of extra effort to make sure that Katie and people like her, companies like her, are serviced, okay? Now, if you're going to send a report out on Monday, what do you got to make sure you have done on Friday? That's right. Make sure you have all your work done on that file by Friday. Or if it's going to an audit team, make sure you send that on a certain day. And if you say, hey, look, audit team's going to review it on the 23rd before it goes out on the 31st, make sure you have all your work done by the 23rd. Now, if you're not confident enough to send the reports directly to the client, add yourself first. Send it to yourself. And then you can review it. If you like it, go ahead and forward it. You know, you saved yourself a bunch of time that way as well. What I'd like you to do is start to automate those reports. That's a biggie. Now, management reports are what we would also call compilation reports. You can have things like STARS 21 compliance on management reports. Here's an example. I'm going to go down to the profit and loss, and then down at the bottom, you see I started a STARS 21 compliance statement. You could do all of that and more. In fact, if you're a CPA on the call and you want to know how to do STARS 21 compliance on a management report, please email me at robert_randall@intuit.com. I'll send you information on that and more. Okay? All right. Moving quickly, I'm going to click on the bank feed. Probably the most misunderstood feature within our program, likely the most misused. What I would absolutely recommend is go to your Pro Advisor training portal, start with the bank feed, okay? Or once you're done with that, click on Advanced Banking Topics under the Advanced Certification. So much good information in there. Let me tell you what's going on. Stage one, when you add a bank account, we're actually pulling that bank transaction from the bank into this holding tank within QBO. That's a big time saver right off the bat. You no longer have to go to the bank to print and save the bank transactions. Stage one. Now, in stage one, you can go onto the transaction. You can make changes. You'll notice you see the green that popped up real fast. We have artificial intelligence working inside the bank feed that's going to update things based on its learnings of your behavior. Now, you'll also notice I've got customer and project transactions turned on, class transactions, locations, very sophisticated section. All of this is available for you in real time. Now, if there's a match, of course you can match duplicates, not a problem. If you want to do batch transactions, just use your batch transaction drop down right here. Very easy to do. You know what that's for when you get all those checks at the end and you just want to, you know what I'm talking about. All right. Now, that's kind of the first stage of automation. Stage two is rules. Rules is at the very top. Now, bank rules simply say, look, I want these transactions to go into these buckets or accounts because I want them to show up on reports a particular way, how I like it, I want it to happen every time. Create the rule. Here's where it gets interesting. Down at the bottom, once you get the rule working how you like it, come back and click automatically add to my book. This is where it gets interesting. Now that holding tank that we've been looking at under banking, you're going to start to automate yourself out of this work, okay? No longer reviewing transactions because it's happening automatically through artificial intelligence and through your bank rules, okay? Automatically happening. Now, you may have heard at Connect this year, Arij said that we are going to start to import the bank statement as well. Think about that for a minute. We're already importing the transactions. Next, we import and read the statement. What does that do? It starts to automate the reconciliation process for you. Remember, compliance is getting automated out of our industry. Okay, that's why we want to shift and make that shift towards advisory services. All right, so stage 1, you're looking at it. Stage 2 is on the way very, very soon. Please be aware. Somebody asked me earlier about receipts. This is a new section that's in beta testing. Please take a look at this. You can send receipts directly to QuickBooks. We want to start capturing that receipt data for you and housing all of that information in one space. Okay, this is very cool information. So you can have all those receipts in one space. Now, coming down from the bank feed, if I click on sales, these are also filters. Overdue invoices, all I would have to do is click it, and now I can see all of my overdue invoices. We now have batch invoicing as part of our advanced tier. So there's a new service offering that was called advanced where you can do batch invoicing. Invoices are here. Products and services are here. Remember, we use FIFO, which is first in, first out methodology. If you need something more, just add an app. It really is just that easy. We do have price rules. So if you want to create price rules for your inventory, you certainly can do that as well. Moving down the line, I'm going to click on expenses. Here's expenses and vendors. This is all just like very, very much similar to desktop. More or less just letting you know where this stuff's at in case you've been looking for it, because I know it looks a little different from desktop. Projects is your job costing. This is your job costing area. We just added the new hourly labor cost. You can see your profit margins, time, unbilled time and expenses, all kinds of really good information now nestled under the projects tab. Hourly cost rates, that we're building this out very quickly. However, for job costing, for the interim, absolutely Notify the app, Notify. It's a no-brainer, right? Notify is a no-brainer. All right, moving down, workers. This is our payroll. So we've got employees. You must have payroll turned on. Contractors, these are your 1099 folks, right? And then work comp. Work comp is pretty straightforward. I'm getting a little lag here on the presentation service. Let me go back into a client. There you go. Sorry about that. Clicked on the wrong button. You're probably wondering, like, what is this guy doing? All right, workers, employees, contractors, work comp. All right, so we've talked through that. Taxes is another biggie. We've recently automated sales tax, and then we also have the payroll tax. More information on sales tax, just type QBO sales tax. You can find plenty of information there. Here's your W-2s, your 900 series, all that information is available. All right, the last thing I want to show you is the new Prep for Taxes section. It is tax season. We have now added the balance sheet and the profit and loss all on one page. From here, I can make adjustments, I can add notes, I can add white papers, everything that you do to close out the books to get ready for tax time is now available on one screen. And then again, down below that is your P&L, okay? Now, when I'm done, if I'm working in an online program like ProConnect Tax Online, we're going to do all of that tax mapping for you with artificial intelligence. Or what you could simply do is export to .csv. If you're using a premium tax software like Lacert, just use the 6 tab over in Lacert called the trial balance utility. You can import that information and automate that process. Bingo, bango, you're on your way. But very quickly in the online world, let me show you what we're doing with your investment. My colleagues have created way too many tax returns for this customer, but let me just show you what this looks like. I'm going to move all of that financial data into a 1065 return, and we're going to do that in about a millionth of a second. And there you go. The 1065 return is ready for review. So let's look at this way. On average, if I asked you how long does it take to do a 1065 partnership return, most of you would say on average 2 to 5 hours, right? Some take a little longer, some a little less. So let's agree on 2 or 3 hours. Okay, let's be conservative and say all of your 1065s take 2 hours. Okay, the average 1120, 1120S, typically again 2 to 3 hours, right? So what we've done with a multi-second return is this. I'd much rather have you doing a 20-minute, performing a 20-minute review of the return before you submit it than spend 2 or 3 hours typing on a keyboard to get all of that data into the return. Okay? Let me flip this on you a different way. We've got firms that are using this process already, large firms, top 100 firms, using this process already. It's going to be increasingly difficult to remain competitive if your competition across the street is able to do a 1065 return in 20 or 30 minutes when it's taking you and your team 2 or 3 hours. I'm not asking you to make a change right now. This is not a sales pitch. I just want to get you thinking about the cloud and automation and what that can look like for you and your team moving forward. Okay? That is the end of the presentation. All right. Thank you all for joining me today. Let's exit with a poll question. Have you taken advantage of our 5 for 25 offer? 5 for 25 offer. What that is you get 5 plus QBO for subscriptions for $5 each. So even if you have one customer and think you're going to get a few more in the next 6 months, this is a very good offer for you to consider. Remember, if I didn't get to your question, please email me directly at robert_randall@intuit.com. robert_randall@intuit.com. I'd love to connect, Robert. It sounds, yeah, I'd very much like to connect with you. Very cool. Yeah, I don't shy away from that at all. Let's collaborate. That sounds fun. All right, let's see here. Should be able to, y'all hear me, right? Probably cut out and froze there for a second. All right, I'm going to close polling in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's return to polling. So a good many of you on the call today, that's a fantastic offer. By the way, if you have multiple companies, let's say you have a company that owns many companies, you can do a multi-company offer. What that is the first company is at the wholesale price of, I believe, $30. Each additional company is only $5 each. So some really great offers out there. But let's go ahead and move forward. Remember, cloud, it's moving fast. It is moving fast. We're in an age of acceleration. With change, there's bound to be bumps along the way. It's just going to happen. It's different from what we're used to. Many of us have been using the same desktop stuff for 10 or 20 years. Change is difficult, right? So what I'd like you to do, let's lean on each other. Get in those support groups. Get on LinkedIn. Get on Facebook. Email me. Let's work together to make sure that we minimize that as much as possible. I promise you the future is so bright. I've got firms, very, very large firms, and everything in between that are having such a great experience in the cloud. In fact, I've got firms that no longer take desktop. They just will not do it. It costs them too much money to manage a desktop client. Imagine that for a second, right? So let's work together. Whatever you need, email me directly at robert_randall@intuit.com. Look forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions about apps or, STARS 21 compliance or onboarding or engagement or anything that we talked about today, or maybe something we didn't talk about today, email me. I'd love to hear from you. Hopefully you've gotten some value out of today's presentation. I sure did enjoy the longer format. It allowed me to go a little deeper on some items, but, stay la vie. Have a great tax season. Look forward to seeing you out there on the road. Bye for now.